everybody. I'm going to do a journey into this year. So, into the energy of 2020, so we can actually take a look at what this year, the concept of this year, time itself, what it looks like on the energy side of things. So, 2020 has really impacted all of our lives in its own unique way. Obviously, coronavirus is a big part of that. It's turned everything inside out. As a parent with kids, it's a totally different experience with kids going to school with masks and sometimes doing online school. It's really hard on kids and it's hard on parents. And in the midst of this, I don't know how much support is out there for parents and kids right now because everybody is afraid of getting coronavirus. Well, what about the future generations of our human race, which depends on our children? It's us old people, we've had time to get to know life. We've had time to participate in living. These kids haven't. And they're doing the best that they can to be supportive of us. And it's hard to know what to make of the world today. It feels like the concerns are in the wrong direction, but everybody has a right to their opinion. Everybody has a right to their concerns. But 2020 is more than just coronavirus. It's a lot of people, myself included. It's a strange sense of grounding. It's hard to know how to be grounded in a time when you don't really know what next month is going to look like. And you're trying to anticipate the future in order to be as stable and organized through it all as you can be. But you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know there's so many levels of society. Was coronavirus really a natural event or was it a planned event? Is there a possibility of another planned event if coronavirus is a planned event, It's hard to say what the motivation is here. It's hard to say what next year is going to look like, let alone 2 years, let alone 5 years from now. And you can't be living trying to prepare for anything because each week it's some new dance, So how do you guys feel this year, 2020? How have you guys been feeling about it? People are working from home now, or people have been laid off. Some people are happy about that. Some people aren't happy about that. We're all being introduced to a new approach. So what is the inspiration of all of this? Do you feel like everything is happening for all the right reasons? Do you feel like there's a lot of manipulation and you're sick of the manipulation and you want the world to just become an honest place where we can start solving these problems together? I find that where one opinion is we need to support each other through the process, another opinion is, well, what about the kids and the parents that are struggling? Another opinion is, every opinion has a valid point. And if we are to work together, then how are we going to find the flexibility and the smartest choices to help the whole human race grow and expand in a healthy, balanced way through all of this, what is becoming the hashtag new normal? So we have to just keep living through life one day at a time, right? Anyway, I just wanted to just talk a little bit about this. And I don't know what else to say other than that right now, but I'm going to relax here, okay? Because I do want to look into 2020. I feel something else that's inspiring me to say more is that a lot is going on here where there's a lot of inspiration to silence, to be silenced. So in America, we have black culture, white culture, and there's a really difficult time in talking about anything racial without it becoming very, very vulnerable and sensitive and people getting hurt. So there's something about having the freedom to talk, to share. When you look at what everybody is going through, there's so many different dynamics of suffering and how we work through the suffering inside ourselves, or we blame everybody for our suffering, and then we put others through suffering so that they can know what it's like to be us. There's just so much. It's almost better to be silent and just let all that craziness just do its own thing. But maybe there's a need to be proactive, a need to speak up. I mean, I've seen signs, people protesting having to wear masks every single day, every moment they step outside. And the whole concept of, I want to breathe. Kids are having to go to school wearing masks and they're having a hard time with it. This is supposed to be an environment that encourages learning and education. They're having to go to gym class wearing a mask. They're interacting in school all day with a mask on. I have a daughter in dance and she wears a mask during dance class. I wear a mask when I go into Walmart just like everybody else. And it's challenging. It's challenging. I question the healthiness of this. I question whether we should accept this event and just embrace it and embrace each other through it. Create support in a different way. Instead of 6 feet of distance, let's not be afraid of each other. Let's not even be afraid of this coronavirus. But maybe I don't have a right to say that because some people's lives are at risk. I know several people who are high risk. Diabetes, heart condition, sleep apnea, got coronavirus, no issues, no symptoms. I don't know anybody who's died of coronavirus yet. However, I do have friends who know people who have died of coronavirus. You can die in a lot of different ways. Should we fear death? Should we fear getting sick? Is getting sick and dying and our fears of it more important than being with our elderly family members in the nursing homes? Obviously, that's a very concerning environment for coronavirus. That's the whole point of keeping them locked up inside in an imprisonment. This is so psychologically damaging. It is very psychologically damaging. I don't know what this is going to create in our children as they get older, but they're being forced to be okay being quarantined. A student in my son's class got coronavirus. Now my son is on quarantine. And I mean, this is really hard to watch these kids being forced to stay inside. This environment, society itself, is encouraging the behavior of kids to be less active, to have electronics, to sit down and shut up with their tablets and their electronic devices. It's a really easy way to create docile kids. And if they're in a bad mood, just give them a tablet. It works. And then people around you, I have neighbors who yelled at my kids for playing outside too close to their house. This has happened multiple times in different locations. So now my kids are afraid to actually go play outside because people don't want to hear children playing. People don't want to hear kids being too loud at the restaurant. I mean, what's the point of having children? I thought children was supposed to be a blessing to the world. They seem to be a hindrance. And it feels like little support reaching the parents. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's lots of support for these kids and the parents. So, what in the world is 2020 exactly? Is it just simply another challenging year in the human race? Is it hashtag new normal? Like, how do you guys feel about all of this? We have a right to our opinions. You can tell me to shut up or go to hell. You have a right to that opinion. We all have a right. Is the opinion coming from the bottom of our heart, or is it just a reaction? Is it a trigger switch? If this video is creating a trigger switch in you where you feel angry, that's a good. Because I feel angry sometimes. I feel confused. I feel shocked. I'm a human being. I have to sit and transmute this energy. I have to trust in the process of everything. I have to know that this is the most beautiful environment I could ever exist in. And it is teaching me everything that my soul needs to learn about this experience, however I choose to perceive it. Okay, I'm going to relax now. And let's just see what 2020 looks like, okay? So, right away, it really impacts my throat, and it really impacts it's my stomach, emotional gut, but it's also like my sacral chakra, so below my belly button. It feels a bit lodged, like harder to breathe. I experience what is sort of swimming through the sky, and I'm looking for something. There's clouds in the way, but I also experience some stars, and I look to the stars for answers. I look at planet Earth from way above, and I don't know what to think about this planet. But I let go of that, and I choose to participate here on Earth. What's interesting is when I plant my feet down on the planet, I see lots of thorny roots coming out of the earth, and they wrap around my legs really tight, and they are very painful, and they start to pull me into the ground. The ground is full of blood. And I have a part of myself that I sent into the stars, and then the other part I accept whatever consuming experience takes place on earth. And I'm getting swallowed up in the planet. And where I let these roots take me wherever they desire to take me, because it's exactly where I need to go. I see Archangel Raziel is here. He smiles at me and says, no matter where you are, I will be here with you. And I hear the voices of so many others that say, no matter where you are, I will be here with you. And it feels so loving. It feels like nobody is ever alone, no matter what. No matter how hard life gets, nobody's ever alone. It's almost like it's okay to be so vulnerable. It's okay to not be able to do it some days. My laptop is making recommendations of me during this very essential discussion. Now, if my computer chooses to do like its own reboot, what is that saying? What is that saying? We're gonna find out. I just canceled it. Is it going to accept my directions? I don't know. The computer is taking over my life, I guess. All right, let's see. So I am taken to another dimension of Earth. This one is a lot darker. And there is so much dark energy here. I see people that have no faces and they linger in the shadows and they influence many, many others. They teach certain souls how to control other souls. And it's all about controlling and hurting the souls. And it's all mindless. It's basically, in one version of perspective, it's almost like a pointless life of being herded around and never really knowing your full potential. Being completely masked and not even knowing that you're wearing a mask. It's so manipulated that you don't even know yourself, and you wouldn't even know how to know yourself. You wouldn't even know how to conceive of it. So everything that you are has been shrouded from you. So you'll never really be who you are. And I see people who, there's an image of a bank made out of gold and a man who runs the bank. And I see one of these men without faces whispers in this man's ear and teaches him how to own the world. And this man listens with everything that he is. And I ask him the question, this banker, what is the point of owning the world? Of having everything when there are so many people struggling? He doesn't know how to relate to anybody else's life but his own. He likes the idea of becoming more and more and more and more and more. So the more he owns, the more money he has, the more he is. He is more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And because he is constantly more, it's hard for him to experience the bigger picture of what everybody is going through. I start to see this human man, his tongue is changing into the tongue of a snake. And he becomes a predator of the human race. But is it the man that is the predator, or is it the influence of wanting more that is the predator? Or is the predator the man without a face? The influence, the inspiration. I see this very dark earth as so many people can't see, and they're walking into walls all the time. And they argue with the walls. They desperately want to break down walls. They want to be set free. And all this conversation, communication gets lost in a very dense energy. And it just lingers here. It has no way of filtering out. It has no way of transmuting because it's just simply so heavy. And there's so many heavy feelings and heavy thoughts, they just sort of linger here. And they can't find a way to be flushed down or cleared out. There's no window that allows the air to blow through with so much dense energy. And I say, what does this have to do with 2020? I see that the denser things become, the more timeless it feels. Like, what if 100 years for us was actually 1,000,000 years? I just feel like struggling to be set free is a bit, it's like it's very hard to get out of this dense energy. Like it's almost like being in a tar pit that's sucking you down and sucking you into itself. And you don't even know how deeply sucked inside of it you've become. Whether it's one life or thousands of lives, it's like they're somehow sharing in the same experience of being sucked under. So I set foot here in this earth plane. It's so weird. It's about as small as like standing on a dime. It's so weird. And everything's made out of black and gray, very little white. The bank is made out of gold. And the banker man just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks. He doesn't even talk from his heart. He just talks about whatever. And I see these stick people just running into walls, running into walls, running into walls. And I wonder what the point of all of this is. It seems just ridiculous. And I hear a voice say that the point is to learn how to conquer the banker man. And nobody can really see him. Nobody seems to see this banker man. You just see the walls in front of them, and then they walk into it, and then they break into pieces. The stick people break into pieces, they fall to the ground. And then they put themselves back together again, and only to walk into a wall again and break into pieces. And I see that this man without a face continues to speak into the ear of the banker man, who gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I start to see that on this dime, where everybody exists here in this lower dimensional earth plane, I start to see a swirl develop, and it's starting to suck in all the stick people and all of their blocks, all of their walls. And sometimes they walk into each other's walls, other people's walls, that become then their own wall. And everything is shrouded in dark. They're trying to find their way. They're trying to find the light. They're struggling to find the light. They're looking for the banker man. They're looking for an answer. They're looking for a solution. They're looking for survival. They're looking for a way out. All the while, the banker man says, more, 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 more. And the man without a face keeps talking to him, talking to him, talking to him. Do this, do this, do this, do this. More, 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 more. And all these people are going down a drain. Now I see all the people have been swallowed up, and all that remains is the banker man, his golden bank, and the man without a face. And it's quite silent here. And now I hear a voice that tells the banker man, you have everything. And the banker man knows that he cannot ask for more because he already has everything. And he starts to wonder what his purpose is now that he has everything. And I hear another voice say, you give it back. He thinks for a while. The man without a face is starting to disappear. His role is almost complete. And the banker man is starting to look at the bank, this golden bank, and this empty world. And I feel a change happening in his own heart. He doesn't know how to give it back, though. He only knows how to take. He doesn't know how to give it back. And I tell him to find someone who can help him. If he found someone who can help him get more, he can find someone to help him give it back. He said, I didn't steal this from people. I didn't steal it. I earned it. It's mine. I see that all the sick people that went down the drain with their own walls, they're just characters in a book. And we're all just playing a role, playing a part in order to teach the greater lesson. What is the self-realization of God, you could say. So there are no walls. And we are all free. The question is, has the lesson been learned? If the lesson's been learned, we'll all see that. If the lesson hasn't been learned, then we will see walls that we will walk into. Once the lesson is learned, then you'll discover there never was any walls. And this banker man is struggling to see himself as a great wall, as more also a great wall, as the golden bank also a great wall. He's struggling to see how he's creating walls in the world. Now, are these walls that we've been running into our walls or the walls of the bank? If the lesson is learned, there are no walls. There's another question as to who are we waiting on? Whose walls? And I'm shown planet Earth, and I'm shown people who are living in walls. And they wrap their walls around other people. And other people live in these walls that have been given to them, trying to figure out how to get out of the walls that others have put in place in their own life. Discovering the world is imprisoning itself. We are imprisoned by people. We are imprisoned by our own insecurities, our own lessons that we are learning. And I say, what does this have to do with 2020? And I hear it echo back, what does this have to do with 2020? You say, what does this have to do with coronavirus? And I see a man, and he's standing at a table, and he pounds his fist on the table and smiles at me, and he says, what does this have to do with coronavirus? And I see the banker man smiling. But he makes no sound. He just smiles. And I see the man without a face. And I start to see others fill this room. And they're people. They aren't stick people. They're full flesh and blood people. And they show me their buildings are tall, and they stand at the top of their buildings like mighty emperors of the world. The earth starts to become a place of extreme noise. I mean, so much noise. It's like turn on the channel that doesn't work, that makes the noise, and then turn it on full blast and try to cope with that. That's the frequency sound. As we're all standing on a dime in a very dense reality where it's hard to know that you aren't sinking in the black tar even if you feel like you are. That there aren't any walls. even to be at peace with the storyline of the world today, and to know we're all part of God's own self-realization, and that we together are God, and that makes us, each and every one of us, special. And it makes us all so loved. The bankers, the faceless men, the men that pound our fists against the table. There's a lot of men that I see. There aren't as many women. I feel a divine masculine presence here in the intensity and the need to control, the need to direct, the need to own, the need for ego to be the best. To me, the most desirable man. To be the man all other men want to be. I see what you could say the genitals of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and the sexual imbalances of the world. And I hear souls screaming silently inside themselves the suffering of sexual pain, sexual imbalance, sexual confusion, judgment of sexuality and sexual preferences, of identity. Remember, this is God in all God's forms. So if we have the audacity to judge each other, then God cannot love God's self. How is the human race ever going to ascend if we can't love ourselves? That is as extreme as God not being able to love God's self. We are representatives of God here. We can find our way out of this. I'm starting to experience the light of day, and the light shines down upon us, and it creates a pathway into the stars. And the stars are guiding us, whether we can understand that or not. And I see Archangel Raziel, and I see many, 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 many beings of light that are here helping to illuminate our heart. Our heart then to guide us. They're showing me that 2020 isn't going to come with the textbook answer. It isn't going to come with directions. There's no map for this. You have to start working with your heart. You have to start listening with your heart. They show me some things I've told my kids, that you do the best that you can do. You do the best that you can do. And if you're putting your heart into it, nobody could ask more of you. It's not how the education system judges you as a good student or a disappointing student because you're not as smart as other kids. Judgment exists all over. You wear the mask, you don't wear the mask, now you're going to be judged. You're better off wearing the mask so you don't offend people. Judgment. Kids should just be taught to just do the right thing. What is it like to be a kid right now? Compassion, support for the kids. For the parents trying to do this online thing, it's hard. But I see that 2020 comes with divine rays of light. And these rays of light are like a rope Just hold on to the light and let the light guide you. Because I see a ray of light coming down to a world that is turning, that is changing. It's turning on a dime, they show me. It's turning on a dime. So that change can happen on a dime. Just grab the rope of light and let it guide you and do the best that you can. And I see a mother with a twinkle in her eye to a child, comforting the child with a hug and saying, just do the best that you can. And love will always be here with you, no matter how hard it gets. Just do the best that you can. And I see that it's a struggle of pain within the heart of the collective, of self-realization on both sides, and how we can work together, and fears of change, fears of the world becoming united and not separated, working together instead of persecuting other countries for being different. What are the solutions here for bringing a unity, for valuing and appreciating human beings from all over the world? There's a lot more regular people out there than there are government people. And us regular people just want to see love and peace in the world. We don't know how to create a movement to just leave our jobs, no income, and now just start a movement of peace to change the world. But again, I'm shown ropes of light for every single one of us, helping to guide us through, and the stars are guiding us through this. Even if it is confusing, even if it is hard. So I'm going to take just one more moment here and then ask him one more time about 2020. I see all the stick people that went down the drain. It's actually a gift. I don't know what all that is to represent, but they show me when that happens that the whole world is given a chance. And it doesn't just depend on the banker and the faceless man and the even more faceless man that suddenly pounds on the table, that I am present here as well. It's everybody. It's everybody that went down the table that has a louder, down the swirl, that has a louder voice than you could imagine. I say, when will more be given back? There's no response to this yet. There's energy on the wind. It's telling me something without saying anything at all. And it's about patience. It's about the time it takes for somebody to understand themselves, to understand the gift of who they are, the gift of the banker to give back, the gift of the stick man who just continues to walk into a wall as an artist here to beautify the planet. The gift of another stick man is has the gift to be a mentor for children, to actually heal their hearts and fill their life with memories, beautiful memories of being cared about. Another stick person We are all in the process of discovering who we actually are and our full potential. And to not think that this banker man can't self-realize, that you can't self-realize, that I, Abbey, can't self-realize. This is as far as I understand my role to be. Is this as far as you understand your role to be? We can be open to more guidance. And we can continue to play our role. We don't have to be sucked into the role like being swallowed up by a lake of tar, never to be seen again. We can turn it all inside out. There aren't any walls. Only when there's a lesson will there be the appearance of a wall. Ask your higher self, ask your guides, ask your heart to teach me how to conquer my lessons. Or simply teach me how to love myself and be a reflection of love in my life, and to trust in the process of everything, and to know that I am the best me that I could ever be, because my heart just simply loves and cares that much. Now you start to become a full-blooded person, not a stick person, but a living, breathing person that is expressing light. So, should I ask him one more time, what does this mean about 2020? I'm just going to sit with it for another minute and let's just see if anything else comes up. They show you and me, all of us, with our hands holding rays of light, become brighter people. And we feel the connection with our guides and soulmates and angels and higher selves. And we feel the connection with each other. And we don't feel swallowed up anymore. And we feel like we can help each other out. And we're waiting for new directions from the stars on what our role is. It's almost like a change of the wind, maybe guiding us in directions we never thought we would be going in. It reminds me of some messages I received earlier this year about don't try to decide what the future looks like, because it's almost like you've decided the pattern, and the pattern is going to remain the same until such and such date when you are hoping that the pattern now will change. But all you're doing is creating a pattern for you to exist in for forever, basically. Don't think that you know what tomorrow holds. Let tomorrow be a surprise. Let the next 6 months be a surprise. Embrace the surprise. Your role right now and who you are right now may be somebody doing totally different things in a totally different part of the world in 6 months. Just continue to know that you are guided. Continue to work with the light inside your heart, and let this world turn on a dime if it needs to. Because as it turns on a dime, it is turning itself inside out. And we are working with a new way of working together and self-realizing, self-discovering. So that's what they have to say about that. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this message. Thank you so much for being a part of it with me. Thank you for sharing all your thoughts and feelings. If any of you are interested in exploring a psychic session with me, please visit me at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. I'm also on Patreon at Abbey Normals Wisdom Quest. And I have 2 other YouTube channels, so check me out at Abbey Psychic Services and Zodiac Energy Readings. All right, have a great day, everyone.